This MMA content is proudly brought to you by the AllStar app, a fully customizable ad-free sports experience. Download it now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to This Week in Combat Sports. Ben the Bane Davis here to bring you everything that's occurred between October 2nd and October 8th in MMA history. October 2nd, 2015. In his first defense of the light heavyweight throne, Daniel Cormier found himself in a dogfight against a Swedish predator named Alexander Gustafsson. Tapology's 5th best fight of the year, Gustafsson brought the best out of Cormier and extended him all the way to the scorecards. However, he suffered a split decision loss. This was Gustafsson's second crack at UFC Gold, and he challenged for the title once more, but ultimately fell up short. The Mauler's quest for the UFC title is a lot like my attempts to get sexual relations. I always come up short. Daniel Cormier would defend the title 2 more times before facing John Jones for a second time at UFC 214, in which he would lose, but then it was turned over. October 3rd, 2015. Ahead of the Dagestani's first opportunity to secure UFC Gold, let's recount his lone loss on his record. On the undercard of the aforementioned UFC 192, Islam Makhachev ran into a freight train of a punch by Adriano Martins and was stopped in the first round. Islam has since gone on a 10-fight win streak and will challenge for the lightweight title later this month at UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi, while Martins never won another MMA fight and sells car insurance. Allegedly. October 4th, 2014, on this day, Canadian legend Elias Theodorou climbed to 10-0 with a decision over Bruno Santos. Elias went 8-3 in the UFC and was a tough finalist. His work integrating cannabis into the grander MMA landscape was profound, and his legacy is certainly cemented as one of Canada's greatest mixed martial artists. October 5th, UFC 243 saw every single Australian weep as the Reaper found himself on the wrong side of the timing equation when he faced Israel Adesanya for the first time. When Stylebender was still finishing fights, he almost had Whitaker out of there at the end of the first round, ultimately ending it in the second to unify his interim title and become the first New Zealander and Nigerian to become a UFC champion. October 6th, 2018, UFC 229, what a fucking mess this was. Conor McGregor launching dollies like they're corn dogs at a fucking Suns game. Khabib leaping over the cage to punch Dylan Dennis. This event had it all, but most importantly, it saw the Irishman submit to the Eagle in round number 4 of their grudge match. Nurmagomedov retains, but Dana White refused to adorn the Dagestani with his belt in fear of starting a fucking riot. Notably, Derek Lewis's balls were hot that night, and we saw what could have been the last of vintage Tony Ferguson, the end of Prime El Kukui. October 7, 2015, the American Gangster would make his way to the UFC octagon for the very first time in what would lead to an undefeated 4-division championship career. That night in 2015, he was submitted in round number 2. October 8th, the King of Rio notches another defense against MMA legend Kenny Florian in 2011. He closed over a -400 favorite and secured the second defense of the UFC throne in the history of the company. Aldo has the most consecutive defenses of the featherweight title at 7 and was the 4th and final WEC champion before they merged and integrated. Aldo notably retired recently, but as we know, do MMA retirements ever truly stick? This week certainly had it all. We truly appreciate you for tuning in. I've been Ben the Bane Davis for AllStar Sport. I can't wait to see you guys next week to figure out what the fuck happened in MMA.